Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news. As I tell you that Manchester United must not sack Erik ten Hag. I'm tired of these rumours going around and I admit it could just be rumour, but it does worry me a little bit that there are these rumours going around about Ineos potentially changing the manager in the long term. Well, I'm going to tell you tonight why that shouldn't happen. And why it really shouldn't happen. So two reasons there. Also, we're going to be talking about Barada. There's some interesting stuff coming about him and his plans. A lot of people asking me about Jason Wilcox and what he's all about. Interesting. Also, the renovation around Manchester United and what's going on there. Also, we'll be talking about Dan Ashworth and a few other bits as well. Oh, Robin Van Persie. It's Friday night. I hope you're all doing well. And it's great to be back live with all of you lot because I've not done a live show probably since, I don't remember, probably yesterday morning. But I hope you're all doing well this Friday night. And of course, Friday night shows are always a little bit different on the United Stand. So make sure you get your questions in. Lots to get into. And we're going to fly straight into it. God, running up that hill after down in the remainder of a pint is not great. Quentin, thank you very much. Welcome to Members Club. You absolute legend. Get your badge in. So, look, I've got a few points I want to make here. And I'll summarise it really, really quickly because it might never happen, and hopefully it won't do. But this is where I stand on Erik ten Hag. I accept that it is difficult for a new ownership to come in if they don't like the manager. I accept it's difficult for a new ownership to come in if they don't have a good fit with the manager. And I accept it's difficult for a new ownership to come in, work with a new manager, and then realise that, you know, you've just got two, you like each other, but you've got different ideologies. So I get all of those things. I understand that it might not be a good fit with Ten Hag, and that would naturally not be a very good thing in my opinion. But there are a number of reasons why I think it's really wrong to come in with the idea that this is not our guy and we're not going to change him. So that, you know, I look at Man City when they came in all those years ago and reinvented the club. Mark Hughes was manager. They never wanted him. They got rid of him. When Newcastle took over when the Saudis took over Newcastle, they never wanted Steve Bruce and they got rid of him. And if Ineos come in with that mindset, I think it's a massive mistake because Newcastle were begging for success. Man City were begging for success. Manchester United has had success and this fan base has endured 10 years of shit. We're not there begging on our hands and knees to Ineos going, please save us, because they're still working with the Glazers. So there has to be a level here from Ineos where they respect the fans. It's not their club. They own 25% of it. It's still the Glazers club. If they were coming in with 100% and they said, look, trust us, it's our club, this is what we're going to do because we own it, I still wouldn't agree with it. But I certainly don't agree with a 25% stakeholder coming in and going, we're not going to listen to the fans, it's our club. It's not your club, it's the fans' club. And my point is simply this. If they come in and go, well, we've got our own ideas, we're going to get rid of the manager, that doesn't listen to the majority of what the fan base wants. We've had shit for 10 years. We've had to put up with all sorts for 10 years. And finally, there are sprouts of positivity. You know, we've got Mainu, Hoyland and Garnacho. We've got a team that's actually playing together. And we've got a bit of a structure building above the manager. And the last thing I think we should do, and most people I speak to think we should do, is replace the manager. Because for the first time ever, we've actually got some semblance of ownership providing a manager what they want. You listen to Jose Mourinho, you listen to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you listen to Louis van Gaal, you listen to David Moyes, you listen to Ralf Rangnick, and they all say the same thing. I had no structure. How am I supposed to succeed? Well, we've got Barada coming in. We've got Dan Ashworth coming in. There's loads of the people coming in. And then they're going to go, yeah, get rid of the manager as well, who is actually defying logic in turning around a season that's been bloody dreadful for numerous reasons, had a really good first season, and they're going to walk in and go, yeah, this isn't the guy we like, we're getting rid of him. That would be hugely arrogant. It would be hugely disrespectful. And it would be hugely out of their depth, because apparently Sir Jim's a Man United fan. And if he's a Man United fan, he'd feel the same as the majority of us. He'd go, you know what? Here's a manager that in his first season did really well. In his second season is somehow turning this around and has never had any structure, like Rangnick, like Ollie, like Mourinho. Let's give him some structure, because that's what the fans want. Give him some structure And let's see what happens over the next 18 months. If they remove him in the summer because they think that's what they want to do, because they want their own guy, I think it'd be a massive mistake. I think it'd be absolutely huge. And the second point to that, why I think it'd be a massive mistake is, imagine they sack Ten Hag in the summer. There'll be a lot of people that, like myself, who'll go, well, look, what can we do about it? We've got a new ownership model. They want to do what they want. They want their own man. It's not the first club to be, have new owners and go, we want our own manager. But I'd sit there and go, we're getting rid of a guy that worked a miracle in his first season, and we're getting rid of a guy that's bringing through young players, and we're getting rid of a guy that's actually, never had any structure above him. I don't agree with it. I won't agree with it. But what can I do? If they bring in a Potter or a Flick or whoever, and that manager fails, they've got to sack him. So then they've sacked 2 managers in no time. Well, what's different to the Glazers then? And I think that's something people don't think about. If they sack Ten Hag in the summer because they want their own guy, and then their own guy comes in and struggles, you've got to sack him. And then you've sacked 2 managers in no time, or you've got to stick with the wrong guy. I just think it's absolutely staringly obvious to give Ten Hag another 18 months. And then if the summer after next it doesn't work out and you get rid of him, basically what I think needs to happen is, I think they need to follow through with what the fans are thinking. And what we're thinking of in the majority is, give him another season. That's what we're thinking, isn't it? In the majority, I think most people, myself included, are going, give him another season. His first season was good. This season's been horrible, but there's loads of reasons why. Let's give him a 3rd season with structure. Because at the end of next season, there'll be nowhere to hide. After this summer, there'll be nowhere to hide. And if they get rid of him after next season, then you do it with the fans' blessing. But if you get rid of him this summer, you're sort of walking in and going, we know what we're doing. We know what we're doing. We're getting rid of him and we're going to do what we want. That's never a good look at Man United. It's never a good look. As I said, at Man City and Newcastle, they'll rim your arse. They don't care if you give them success because they've never had any. They don't care. They'll clean your arse happily, But at Man United, we've had success and we know what success is, and we're not going to take kindly to people walking in and going, we know more than you. We know more than you and we're going to do this, when there's a hint that we might have the right man. So I personally think, unless the season falls apart, if the season falls apart, exactly, maybe you do that. But I'm telling you now that the majority of the fans want Ten Hag to have another year. And if they ignore that because they think they know best, subconsciously that gets the fan base in a position of, hold on a minute, I thought this is about the fans. I thought this takeover, I thought this was about the fans. It's not about the fans. It's about a select group of people who've never worked here before going, they know better than us. And yet we do know better. I've argued this for years. We know better than ex-players. We know better than ex-managers. We know better than ex-CEOs. We do. How many times under Van Gaal, when he was picking Fellaini, were people saying we should pick Herrera? How many times have we seen managers picking players they shouldn't be picking? And you get Prats going, I think they know more than you. They've got coaching badges. They're probably better coaches than us, but do they know Manchester United? No, they don't. So I think you have to listen to your fans on this one. And sacking a manager without fan backing is what I'm saying would be a massive, massive mistake. And third reason as well, how bad would it be to have spent the money we've spent on Casemiro, Martinez, Anthony, Højlund, Mount, Onana, and then sack that manager? I don't understand the Onana signing. I don't understand the Mount signing. You could sort of say you don't understand the Anthony signing. But you've got to give them, that's a lot of money locked up in those players. You're going to bring in another manager who probably doesn't want them. And more important than anything, the cherry on the cake is Mainu, Garnacho, Højlund. Who created that then? Who has created that picture? Who has created that picture where they're sat there? It wasn't bloody Ed Woodward, was it? And it wasn't John Murtough. It was Erik Ten Hag. So I just wish Manchester United, in their infinite wisdom under Ineos, would put it out there that we're sticking with Ten Hag for another 18 months. Just put it to bed. Because while there's uncertainty, there's rumour. And where there's rumour, there's frustration. But there's also those who want Ten Hag out who are getting excited about it. He's got every chance of winning Premier League Manager of the Month. That'd be the second time this year, or would it be the third? I just think Give him another year. I really, really do. I really, really do. Chances we get Mbappe, says Sebastian? Absolutely none. Do you think Ralf Rangnick told Ineos about what's going on inside the club, says Kevin? Well, look, I've heard some stuff about Ralf Rangnick today. I mean, look, if you're asking me, would I take Ralf Rangnick back at Manchester United? I loved Ralf Rangnick. I think he was the king of telling you what was going on. But I don't know. I don't see Ralf Rangnick coming back to Manchester United. But apparently there's been a conversation. With Barada and Ashworth. But they should be talking to a lot of different people anyway. But I just think there's a lot of positive stuff going on around at Manchester United at the moment. But I do not believe that we need to sack a manager. I really don't. I think it would be the worst thing to do. Firing in Eric Ten Hag is like getting mad at a Michelin star chef for not turning the McDonald's Big Mac into a gourmet dish, says Juan. Mark, what with Mbappe leaving PSG in the summer, do you think they will come again for Rashford? In my opinion, we should sell him in the summer. It's time to move on, says Prab. And don't know the last time a manager was in danger after winning 4 matches back to back. Has the highest win percentage of all and won a trophy, says William. And solid chance Garnacho/Mainu wouldn't have had a chance under another manager. He's done a good job overall considering the inheritance, says Jack. Hi Mark, how old are you? Did you see the Pletty goal post, says Taz? And yeah, I'm 26. This is the first time I've been excited about our upcoming youth in a long time. Removing Ten Hag would undo all this positive progress, says Anand. And Mark, the Ronaldo fanboys can't wait to see Ten Hag go. Getting another manager when Eric Ten Hag has succeeded against the odds out of a project would be bad for Ineos, says Massacre Promotion officials. Glad to finally catch you live for once, Mark. Keep up the amazing work up the United Stand, says Delo. Mark, I'm a Pratt. I thought I was a member. Ten Hag is making me believe again. We're coming back, says Quentin. Who is now a member. Thank you very much. And Akalish, thank you very much for your super chat there as well. Look, there's a great point in there. You know, I've listed the reasons why I do not believe Ten Hag should be leaving, and I think it's something we need to be passionate about. I think there's a lot of people out there going, I will do a poll for you, yeah. Is this about Ten Hag, the poll? I will do a poll. But look, I think there's a lot of people out there that... will have different reasons for why they'd back the manager or not back the manager. But for me, the obvious reasons are that we're doing well, youth is being developed, it's been a horrible season, injuries. I mean, Martinez has missed most of the season and he's one of our most important players. You take Van Dijk out of Liverpool for a whole season, it has a massive impact. Martinez is our Van Dijk. I'm not saying he's as good as Van Dijk, but he is fundamental to the way that we want to play, as is Casemiro, as is Luke Shaw. So these have been big issues for us. But also, I think you've got to value and respect yourself as a fan base. If somebody comes into this club and says, we're getting rid of the manager because we want to, it's disrespectful to the fan base. We're not Man City and we're not Newcastle and we're not bloody desperate to kiss arse for any sort of success. We're Manchester United. We've had success. We have a legacy and the fans must be listened to. And if a manager or if an owner comes in and says we're getting rid of the manager because we think that's the right thing to do, where have you been for the last 10 years? What is it that you think that desperately needs changing about this manager? We've finally got young players coming through, more than one, in a collective. We're finally turning things around after a horrible season. In his first year, he got us to 2 cup finals and in the Champions League, which is better than we've done for most of the last decade. Why are we changing this manager? Unless you're telling me Jurgen Klopp's quitting Liverpool to come to Manchester United or Pep's had enough of Sky Blue, there is no manager out there that should be coming in for Ten Hag to be sacked. And the second point to that is, it's bloody disrespectful to do it. You should be followed by your fans. You should be led by the fans. The fans are not saying sack this manager. The fans are saying give him a bloody structure and give him a chance. If Ineos come in and say we're getting rid of the manager, I don't trust it. I think it's a mistake. And for the reason I just said, you bring your own guy in, he fails, that's 2 manager sackings in your first few years. It's not a good look. I personally don't think for 1 minute Ineos are thinking about sacking Ten Hag unless they absolutely have to. I personally don't think he'll go in the summer. I think they might look longer term and give him next year and go, if that doesn't work out, we can make a change then, which I'm absolutely fine with. But I'd be disgusted, stunned and disrespected if they just were like thinking, we don't want this manager, we're getting rid of him in the summer. Because what's different to the Glazers if they come in and sack a manager? You know, are we still run by the Glazers then? Because it feels like it. Sacking Ten Hag in the summer would be roughly 2 or 3 year cycle, wouldn't it? I don't want to see that. I want to see a manager with a structure. And I don't see him, you know, to all the Ten Hag outers, I was saying this in the autumn. Who's your replacement? Who is your replacement? There's a lot of people who love their shiny new toys for Christmas. But what shiny new toy do you want? You know, you want to open something up, don't you? But you don't actually know what you want. What is it that you want in the summer that's better than what we have at the moment? And what is that new thing going to do with the foundations that are clearly being built at the moment? I'm not Ten Hag out, but what happened to the season review, says Robert McCormack. I don't know what a season review is. Hypocritical outers want their cake but complain when Erik Ten Hag breaks eggs. When there are ingredients missing and can't understand it needs seasons to bake, says Sam. We've seen glimpses of what Ten Hag's Man United could be if he has the backing and a full healthy squad. Keep Ten Hag, says Yef. And all of the people Sir Jim and Brailsford speak to rate Ten Hag. Barada would have had him at City and Ralph really pushed for Ten Hag and Sir Alex, says Levi. And hi Mark, what if Ineos says we don't like how Ten Hag managed in the Champions League? Add to that his bad selection of Onana. Keep up the great work, says Ryle. Look, there's good and bad. But, you know, I've just forgotten there was a comment there about Rashford. Now, you know, my stance on Rashford is that I don't really see a need to sell him at the moment. Some people do. But if you sell... Here's one for you. Because we all know this. This is another reason. You know, this is why I love doing these shows, because you generate conversation that I can't generate on my own, which gets me thinking. I thought I'd mapped out the reasons why we shouldn't get rid of him. Here's a fourth reason as well. You sack Ten Hag, you bring a new manager in. What did Mourinho do? What did Ollie do? What did Ten Hag do? What did Van Gaal do? First season, these are the players I want to buy, but I'm not that interested in selling anybody because I want to assess them and give them my thought. I'm not going to be influenced by what's happened before. I'm my own egotistical manager and I will decide on these players, but I can only decide on them if I take them on a summer tour and see what they're all about, by which time you fucked up another summer. So what I mean by that is, if you do sack Ten Hag and whoever your new manager is, they will come in and go, well, I'm not selling Marcus Rashford. I'm not selling Jadon Sancho. I'm not selling Rafael Varane. I'm not selling Donny van de Beek. I am going to assess this squad because I am the manager. So they will all be coming on the tour to America with me. They will all get chances and I will make my mind up when we come back in early August, by which time you've fucked up another summer. So if you want to see players leaving this summer, then we do need to stick with Ten Hag, who's had the time, as you have, to realise what players need to go. And if you replace Ten Hag in the summer, there is no way in a million years a new manager's going to come in and go, get rid of Sancho, get rid of Varane, get rid of Casemiro, get rid of Wan-Bissaka, get rid of Rashford, get rid of McTominay, get rid of Maguire. They're going to go, oh no, I need my time. And you know that because we've seen it with every bloody manager we've had, even Ten Hag, even Mourinho. They didn't really sell players in their first summer. They bring in 3 or 4 players they want, because that's important. They want to get their own men in, but they don't really get rid of players because they're like, everyone gets another chance under me. Well, do you really want another summer of another chance? Do you really want another summer of some of these players having another chance to impress? No. Give the current manager the structure and the backing to remove these players. Like Jose said, I wasn't allowed to get rid of players I said we needed to get rid of. I think it's another great reason, and that only came into my mind because someone was saying sell Rashford. Well, we won't sell. I wouldn't sell Rashford. I would sell Sancho, but we won't sell Rashford or Sancho if we get a new manager because they're exactly 2 players that will be given another chance. Fans aren't always right. Majority of Arsenal fans at one point during Arteta's second season wanted him out. Well, they didn't, Rami, actually. You know, they didn't. And fans are right most of the time in the majority. They are right. When it's time... Fans sack managers, mate. We've never had a majority that wanted Ten Hag out. It's never been more than about 30%, really. With Arteta, there was a vocal minority of about 30% that wanted him out, that were printing T-shirts. It wasn't anywhere near 50-50 with Arteta. So fans are normally right. And to be honest with you, for the last 10 years, we've built a community of fans. You're speaking to the wrong person if you think you can slag fans off, because to me... ex-players, CEOs, mainstream media, players, managers, they've all got their own reason for saying what they're saying, and it's normally a big bloody paycheck. Fans follow the club. Fans on a Friday night are watching this instead of, doing whatever. Fans actually value the club because they love the club. It's a passion with fans. I think, you know, the Super League didn't happen because of fans. You know, fans are the lifeblood of football. I'd take a fan opinion over any opinion. It might be a stupid opinion, but it comes from a place of wanting to make Manchester United great. So, you know, let's not disrespect fans here. Like, fans don't know what they're on about. Fans travel all over the fucking country. Fans get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was watching the Super Bowl, by the way, on Sunday night. It was 20 to 4 in the morning. 20 to 4 in the morning, and I'm watching it go into overtime. And I'm thinking, as a novelty one-off, this is amazing. So many of you, so many Man United fans who aren't even watching now, from around the world, whether it's Australia, America, India, wherever, are getting up consistently in the early hours to watch Manchester United. Now, imagine doing that for the last decade. It's all right for the decade before when you're winning things, but imagine getting up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning for the last decade to watch Moyes or Ollie or Van Gaal or even Mourinho and Rangnick. You know, it's amazing what fans do. So don't ever disrespect fan opinion, because fans live, drink and breathe this sport, and they do it for free. They pay to do it as well. So, yeah. Casemiro, let's get into this. To see the look on the faces of Piers Morgan and Simon Jordan if Ten Hag wins the league with United is reason enough to back him, says Glennie. 82% of you back Ten Hag, by the way. The hilarious thing I will say is that, you know, you can't have a community if you don't have a democracy. You've got to, you know, like we do with Greenwood, you know, like we have with Sancho, there's going to be people that have a different opinion to you, and that's absolutely correct. But one of the issues I've always had with the Ten Hag out movement is I still don't know who your replacement is. I couldn't even give you a name. I don't know who your replacement is. You know, I've had people viciously, vilely having a pop at me on their own content about backing Ten Hag. And I'm not talking now. They'll look stupid doing it now. I'm talking about, you know, when we're losing to Forest, or, you know, we're getting smacked up by, you know, whoever in the autumn. Get rid of him, get rid of the fraud, get rid of the bold fraud, you know, vile stuff. But they've never offered up a name. Like Terp says, there isn't one. And that's what I mean. That's what baffles me and scares me the most. Some of these people just want to get rid of the bold fraud because it's hate. They just dislike this manager. But for who? For who? De Zerbi, Xavi. The Ferocious says De Zerbi and Xavi. Oh my God. If I had false teeth, I'd spit them out. What are you talking about? Mainu's right. You may as well go for me. I think they'll give him the final year and then see what options are out there. And I think Glenn, that's exactly where I was going with this. Thanks for the super chat, Glenn. I don't think there's many good options in the summer. You know, how many times have United gone, you know why we got David Moyes? Because there was fuck all else out there. Mourinho had already committed to Real Madrid. I think Ancelotti, Mourinho had gone to Chelsea. I think Ancelotti was going to Madrid. We'd missed the boat completely. And we ended up with David Moyes. If we'd waited a year, which we couldn't do because Sir Alex was retiring, but we caught that bad, and it's happened a few times. I don't think this summer's a good market for managers. I think those that are coming through, there aren't that many. And Liverpool are looking anyway, and Barcelona are looking. So I don't think this is a good summer to be looking for a manager. I also think that there's not an amazing amount of managers that have a great reputation at the moment that you'd go for. Like De Zerbi might be a good manager, but he's had a very bad season. Now, next season, you'll know what De Zerbi's all about, because he had one good season at Brighton. He's had a bad season. So next season's make or break for De Zerbi. So in a year's time, he might be worth having a look at. I don't think this is even the right summer to go for a manager either. Hi, Mark. The biggest problem with Eric Ten Hag, I'll come back to that. I saw lots of these pro-Glazers Sir Jim accounts trying to spin the narrative that we should accept every Ineos decision like sheep because they know what they're doing. Mario, if anybody out there is accepting every Ineos decision because they think they know better than them, they're a sheep. They're a sheep. They may as well start saying bear. You know, you're an absolute sheep. Nice hasn't worked out that well, and they're still working with the Glazers. Now, that might sound really negative, but anybody who watches the channel knows I'm not. I'm actually quite excited by a lot of things that are going on. But there's no part of me that's starting to trust them. I'm like, the first few steps have been great. I love the Barada signing. I think the Dan Ashworth one's the right one as well. But it's early days. We've not even seen what they're doing in the transfer market yet. And yeah, I get the positivity. I feel it as well, but it's very early days. Our CAO says that the fans are hysterical. Marks is Espen. To see the look on the foot, have done that one. I think they will give him the final year. Have done that one, Glenn. Hi, Mark. The biggest problem with Ten Hag's as Aditya is that he's not sorting out the way we press. Casemiro is always left in the centre, defends such a big space. We don't play that ball with the ball. You know what? I think Aditya makes a good point. You know, tactically, there's been a lot wrong this season, and I've highlighted it. You know, I go back to that substitution at half-time, Mainu for McTominay at the City ground, and we lost. We conceded 2 goals. Anana's not worked particularly well. Our holding midfielder has been left on their own a hell of a lot. There is a lot of stuff where you could go, don't like that, don't like that. But there's also the flip side of that when everybody's fit, and we don't really have a squad, so when everyone's fit, it does work. That's what I mean. I think it's next season, if we don't perform well, you've got to be thinking, well, it's year 3. You've given him a chance. Let him go. I predict that won't happen. I think we'll get better and better. But, you know, I acknowledge there are concerns, but I don't think they're obvious concerns at this moment in time. I think you've got to see it through. I think there are signs of life. There are signs of positivity. Let's give it the structure and see what happens. Graham says, Mbappe, Vinicius Jr., United, Rashford, PSG. I don't think it'll happen. Casemiro, Mainu, Bruno, midfield. When Rashi and Garnacho in form and Hoyland gets service, is a very interesting team. Given good defence, I want to see more of it, says Iraqi. Bradley has been a member for 5 months. Mark, the Mike LUHG movement, the guy who went to Real Madrid because he couldn't glory support, prefer backing players. Eric Ten Hag did a miracle after last season, says Massacre Promotions. And Mojo, the legend, says Eric Ten Hag has to be given 2 more years. With proper structure, he needs 2 seasons to have a proper team of his own, and he can really make us successful. There is enough to do to put things right at United. Sacking Eric Ten Hag is not one of them. And Robert McCormack's, you said they should assess at the end of the season, says Robert. Yes, I do agree. Robert, thank you very much for the clarification. I knew you'd have it. I completely agree that we should assess at the end of the season. But as I've said, I can't predict the future. And Robert says, I'm not Ten Hag out, but what happened to the season review? So that's what he's saying. I said, let's assess it at the end of the season. Eric Ten Hag, but he did a lot of mistakes, says Sheriff, which I think is absolutely fair. I stand at it like this. I think that you do have to assess it at the end of the season, and I get why Ineos might be doing that. But I would like to see more backing of the manager, because since they've come in, we've won 4 games in a row where, you know, the team has responded, the manager has responded, and it would be nice to see Ineos respond. Now, they're not officially in place yet, so you have to cut them some slack. But I want to see the positivity. And, you know, the most important thing of a football club is the team and the manager. And I'd like to see some positive PR around the manager, that this is the guy they're going to stick with for at least next season. Robert's right. You have to assess it at the end of the season. But I personally think that whilst we can't predict it, I think a month ago, I wasn't sure whether we're going to finish 8th or 5th. And I wasn't sure whether we're going to go deep in the FA Cup. I look at it now, and I think Sunday's crucial, and Fulham is crucial. The next 2 games, funnily enough, are crucial. Because Villa away, we weren't the favourites. Wolves away, we weren't the favourites. And West Ham at home, we were probably marginal favourites, but they're a good team. Luton away, Fulham at home, we're favourites. Now, what can we do with the favourites tag? Are we going to go and struggle? Are we going to drop points? Or are we going to go and win? Now, if we win the next 2 games, if I'm Ineos, I'm like, well, I've seen enough. They've won 5 Premier League games in a row. He's manager of the month. The team have responded to the positivity of us coming in. This is it. We're doing this now. Because realistically, if we finish 6th, we'll be in the Europa League. If we finish 5th, we'll be in the Champions League. I want to be in the Champions League, but from where we were a month ago, I wouldn't put us in the Champions League. I wasn't expecting the Champions League. So I don't think Ten Hag has to get Champions League football to keep his job. I think Europa League football, you keep your job. Conference League, you might be gone, Eric. But I personally think if he gets Europa League football, then I'd still give him next season. If he gets Champions League football, 100% gets next season. FA Cup, if you get Champions League football, you don't need the FA Cup. And also, to win the FA Cup, you might have to beat a Liverpool or a Man City. So, look, I think that unless the wheels fall off completely, I'm quite happy with what's going on at the moment. Mojo's just gifted 20 memberships. Thank you very much. You're an absolute legend. And Burnt has gifted 5 memberships as well. Absolute legend as well. Just a big shout out. Some of you might have seen it on That's Football. It's the first time we've put the Goldbridge Saves Football podcast as a full video. So it's on That's Football now. You can see the new Goldbridge Arms pub. Cracking episode. But you can also scan that QR code and listen to today's episode. We're previewing the Premier League weekend. We've got a combined 11 for the top 3, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City. There's a few either-ors in there. But we're giving away a pair of trainers that I got given to me at the Sidemen charity game, No Two Ways by Callux. So make sure you give it a listen because we're giving away a pair of trainers there. And you can check that out. The Goldbridge Saves Football podcast is going places. It's not a United podcast, I will say that. It's general football, but it is with me. So check it out and support it. It's really appreciated. And we are giving away a pair of trainers this week. And if you want to watch the full video version in the pub, you can watch it on That's Football. Was there ever Rory says, was there ever any clarity if us and Nice can play in the Champions League like the Red Bull group? Rory, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen this clarity, but nobody seems to be worried it. Jack Glancy says, I think Eric Ten Hag must stay, says George, but I just hope there won't be a clash of personalities and egos with all these great people. You know what, George? That's why I said it right at the start. I'm not the sort of guy who will just say stubbornly, this has to happen, this has to happen, this has to happen. I think sacking Ten Hag would be stupid, but what I will always offer up is that when he's there and new people come in, what if they don't get on? That's something we can't speculate on. You know, what if they don't have the same vision? What if they come in and Ten Hag says, I want to go. I don't have the same thing. So, yeah, look, but I want it to work. You know what? If I'm being completely honest, there's the 3 short things, and I know I'm sort of repeating myself, but the 3 things that make me think this would be bloody stupid. First of all, you've got Garnacho, Højlund and Mainu that Ten Hag has brought through. What's he going to bring through next year? Like, who are the next young players he's going to bring through? Because we haven't had a manager like this in bloody years. Not since Sir Alex have we had a manager that really brings through youth, and he does. The second thing is, you bring a new manager in this summer, forget selling players. I want to see what they're like on tour. Ten Hag will get rid of players in the summer. If we bring a new manager in, he's going to give them another chance. That's terrible. And third thing, new owner, 25% owner. I don't like owners that go into a club and say, we want to bring our own man in. You don't fucking own the club. The Glazers don't own the club. We're not Newcastle and we're not Man City. We're not begging for success. We're Manchester United. We've endured this for 10 years. We've seen managers sacked before. You come in with your own guy and he fails. You've got to sack 2 managers in your first couple of years. And then you've lost the fans because they're like, they don't know what they're doing. Todd Boehly spent £1 billion. No Chelsea fan has any faith in him. He spent £1 billion in 12 months. They should be building a statue for him. But they don't have any faith in him because he sacked 3 managers. They don't trust him because they're like, nice guy, heart's in the right place, hasn't got a clue what he's doing. So everything they do will be judged by the fans. And the logical thing to do is stick with Ten Hag for another year, 100%. What about Nice? And if they qualify for the Champions League, where does that leave us? Tony, I don't know. There doesn't seem to be any concern about that from United, and that's all I can say. Gerard said he was served a flat Guinness in the Goldbridge Arms. Will out, says Gerard. Well, you weren't served bloody anything because we haven't got the tap on yet. Philip Sutton's just gifted a membership. Thank you very much. JS says, Mark said Ineos need to be ruthless and nothing should be off the table, but exploring sacking Ten Hag is wrong. Eric Ten Hag out, bring in Luis Enrique. JS, that's just complete bullshit, what you've just said there. You've completely and utterly contradicted yourself and tried to use me as your mouthpiece, which you can't do. Goldbridge said Ineos need to be ruthless and nothing should be off the table. Yeah, they do. But doesn't mean I have to agree with it. I think ruthlessness is only ruthless if I agree it's ruthless or you agree it's ruthless. I don't agree with sacking Ten Hag. Anyone can be ruthless. You know, you can walk into Man United being ruthless and sell Bruno, Luke Shaw, Casemiro, Martinez, you know, sell everybody. Doesn't mean you're not going to get any kickback. You know, there will always be accountability with ruthlessness. And yeah, I don't agree with that. Yet, look, we can go on and on and on, and there's other stuff I want to talk about, but I'm yet to see anybody offer me a compelling alternative to Erik Ten Hag. And anybody I've ever spoken to who is Ten Hag out is just saying it because they don't like him. But actually, they've got no alternative. I mean, De Zerbi, come on. He's having a worse season than Ten Hag. Why would you take De Zerbi? And I'm not even saying comparatively. Brighton are having a shit season. They shouldn't be where they are. Like, they should be a lot higher up than where they are. They're doing absolutely terribly. And they got stuffed by Luton, which is a stupid thing to say, and I've just realised it when we're playing Luton on Sunday. But, yeah, I wish I hadn't said that. Jake says, Mark, are you not grasping that a new regime needs their own manager to work to the best of their ability? I am grasping it, Jake. That's why I spent a few minutes talking about it. And if you turned up, you might have listened and heard what I said. But I couldn't give a shit about a new regime wanting to do what they want to do. We're Manchester United. Should a new regime come in and defy the whole fan base because they think they know what's better? What is this regime? Why should I or you, who don't want to get rid of Ten Hag, if a new regime comes in, whether it's Qatar, whether it's Elon Musk, or whether it's Ineos, if they come in and go, we're in charge, we're sacking the manager, why should we go, oh, it's fine, I trust you, based on what? What have Ineos done in football? What have Qatar done in football? What's Elon Musk done in football? Oh, you think you know what you're doing, do you? Oh, hold on a minute, let me just get my flippers and my swimming trunks while I jump off this cliff with you. No. They might get proven right, and there's nothing we can do about it, but I'm not going to sit there barring, like, I'm not jumping off the cliff. I don't think it's the right thing to do, and I think it's ignoring the most important people, which is you, the fans. Nobody should be walking into Man United and going, I own the football club, I know what's best, I'm going to ignore you. This is what the Glazers have done for 10 fucking years. 10 years they've been ignoring what the fans think. Get a director of football in who knows what they're doing. Get a CEO in who knows football. No. We're going to use Ed because he helped us buy the club. We're going to use Richard because he's Ed's friend. We're going to use John as director of football because he's been here for ages and everybody likes him. They've been, I don't trust anybody in any organisation that ignores the masses to do what they think is best. Politicians, pub owners, club owners. I don't, for 1 minute, trust or respect people who are arrogant enough to ignore public opinion. Because nobody's farts don't smell. And people who think that they're better than other people because they think they know best tend to make big mistakes, especially in this sport. Look at Todd Bowley. I know what I'm doing. I've got loads of money. I'm going to play Football Manager with £1 billion. And I don't, even though everyone's told me I need a top-class striker, I'm just going to buy loads of centre-backs and midfielders. But I know best because I'm in charge of Chelsea. What a fucking mess that's turned out to be. People can have their heart in the right place and make ridiculously stupid decisions. And I think woe betide any football owner that ignores fan opinion. That's what I'm saying. Luton won't be the only thing getting stuffed on Sunday, if you know what I mean, Mark, says Dan. Thank God I don't know what you mean, Dan. Hi, Mark. Big up the Goldbridge Arms. You know the rules. Congratulations to you. We'll earn the entire team. Erik Ten Hag, and by the way, things are looking good, says Johan. Erik Ten Hag will be more than happy for the structure Ineos are putting in place, given the crap he's had to work with. And this is a great point from Mojo. I think Ten Hag will be very excited about working with Ineos, and I hope they give him the opportunity to do it as well. In other news, by the way, let me just have a sip of this. Oh, I didn't realise I had so much left. Yabba dabba do. I'm looking forward to the weekend, by the way. Yeah, 10 o'clock show tomorrow. Brentford against Liverpool, lunchtime. Man City, Chelsea at 5:30. Goldbridge calling on TalkSport, and then Sunday. Oh, it's going to be a great game against Luton as well. Respect to Luton. It's going to be a great game. Versace says, pardon me if I'm a moron. Is Goldbridge Arms a real pub or just a set? Cheers either way. It's a bit of both, actually, Versace. You'll find out more and more about the Goldbridge Arms over the coming weeks and months. So get on the bandwagon of the podcast. Check it out on That's Football. There's a lot going to be going on with that, and we will reveal more and more as we move through the next few days and weeks. So yeah. Thanks for the question. Always not in charge. Always guy not in charge is the right one, says De Gea, United fan. Exactly. I know exactly what you mean. Anyway, look, there is some exciting news coming out. If you've ever been to Old Trafford, you've never been Goldbridge, a Forest fan. Yeah, there's loads of videos of me there, but, it must be AI. Exciting stuff coming out about Manchester United, by the way, and it's come out in the last few hours that... basically exciting plans announced to regenerate the area around Media City and Manchester United's ground. So if you've ever been to Old Trafford and you've been down St Matt Busby Way, which is where at the top of it you've got Lou Macari's Chip Shop and the Bishop's Blaze and the Trafford pub on the crossroads. Walk down, and as soon as you hit Old Trafford property, that's basically where this regeneration is going to start. Past the other side where Hotel Football is, all the way to the quays, and behind it the other way. So there's this massive area where they're going to regenerate it, housing, the whole lot, which is really exciting actually, because Manchester, if you've been up there recently, is growing. It's sort of like from Old Trafford to Manchester, I've walked it down the canal before on a drunken on a hungover Sunday morning, because the canal's the best way to walk it, because it was just pretty much a main road that you can't really walk down. But nowadays, the city is growing towards Old Trafford, and this regeneration needs to happen. It was being mentioned about Qatar throwing a load of money into the infrastructure. So, that was one minor thing that I thought was really positive about the Qatari bid. But this is unexpected. So this is really positive that regeneration is going to happen anyway, because it's really, it needs it. Especially that area between Old Trafford and the quays. Beyond that, you've got Media City, which is fantastic. But if they do it on the other side, it'd be a really, really good for the area. And obviously it will link Manchester United a lot closer to all of that infrastructure, which is fantastic. So real positive on that. I can't speak highly about how good that will be. Obviously, just in relation to some of the stuff that's been going on today, you may have seen it yourself. Eddie Howe was talking about the situation with Dan Ashworth and said, I mean, look, I read body language. I don't go down clubs and, I'm not talking about that. But I mean, Eddie Howe looked like Dan Ashworth is going. He basically said, look, we just need quick resolution to this, which I think what we all do. My only concern with this is not paying the release clause to get him out so he can work now. I don't think Man United can waste any time on anything. We need a director of football now, so I'm very interested to see how that's going to work, but that's looking very positive. Also, Manchester United's new CEO is eager to appoint a deputy CEO and has spoke to at least one senior person in football finance about the role. So more and more people being spoken to. Effectively, they want to build a team as quick as they can that will work and work together collectively. So I think that's a positive as well. And the other thing I wanted to mention was a lot of people have asked me about Jason Wilcox, who is currently at Southampton and has stepped forward as, well, it's not stepped forward. It's not like he's put his hand up, but he is now being mentioned quite heavily with regards to who could be involved in the recruitment team. Now, with regards to Jason Wilcox, the funny thing about him is somebody was asking me today, like, what do you think about Jason Wilcox if he comes in? And I'm like, I'm not going to sit and pretend like some of these people do. They'll sit there and do a video or an article about what Jason Wilcox is like and what he'll bring. But if you asked them last week, they couldn't even fucking know who he was. All I know about Jason Wilcox is he used to play for Blackburn when they won the league. I remember him. I think he played for England a few times. He was a left winger. That's all I know about him. I don't know anything about him. The same with this Dave Jewell at Wigan, at Brighton. I don't really know anything about them. But what I will say is, a lot of people who do know about them said that they're doing really good things. So if Man United are looking to bring people like that into the club and they've got a good CV, this is where I start to check out a little bit. Remember I said this to you at the start of the week? There becomes a point where I don't have to do a reaction video to every appointment Man United make because it gets stupid. Barada, massive, CEO. Dan Ashworth, Director of Football, massive. Yeah. But, you know, oh, we've got a new fitness coach. Oh, we're bringing in someone here as a chief scout. I don't need to, you know, that's where it's starting to get a bit silly for me. I'm like, they're clearly I trust them on that. Like, they're clearly recruiting good people. Let's get on with the show. I don't need to delve into what these people are doing because they're not the main people. It will be the director of football, it will be the CEO, and then they'll bring people in that they want to work with. As long as we've got a footballing CEO and we've got a footballing director of football and we've got the right manager, anything below them that they bring in, welcome to the party, pal. You know, that's all I care about. I'm not here to talk about Jason Wilcox. I can tell you what he was like as a footballer and what he was like at Blackburn. He was okay. But it's not my area, as says being Ricky, and I'm not really that interested in it. And it's not really anybody's area because nobody fucking knew who he was last week anyway. But what I would say is that he's got, you know, he's got that Dave Jewell at Brighton has a ridiculously good reputation, and Wilcox has got a good reputation. And as long as we're recruiting best in class, that's where I check out. You know, this Wilcox has got a really good reputation. Great. So is Jewell. Great. If we get one of those, lovely stuff. That's all I'm interested with that. Rasmus would like Wilcox and Ripley. This is Robert McCormack. I remember that Brighton team. Shearer lived off Wilcox and Ripley. Right wing, left wing. Crosses into the box. They would have loved that. I hated that Blackburn team, though, because they won the fucking league in 95, didn't they? Stockton's winning it. We're not getting Mbappe. I don't know why people are talking about killing Mbappe. It makes absolutely no sense at all. I've actually just had a WhatsApp here. I'm going to share it with you. So we've got a group WhatsApp. Faz says, Mark, weren't you open to the club parting ways with Ten Hag come the summer when he was stinking up the gaff? You said in this chat you'd be open to the idea in the summer, seeing as he's only got 1 year left in his contract. Yeah, but I did say that because that was probably at the start of January, whereby if the club was in a really bad situation, I mean, look. We'd had 10 losses or 9 losses, and he was picking McTominay over Mainu, and we were looking like a bloody mess. I didn't really think he could turn things around. But what I said was, and I will have said it on these videos, so it doesn't matter whether I've said it in a group chat or not. It's not an exclusive. What I was saying at the start of January was, I had people saying to me, we need to sack him now. Get rid of the bold fraud now. Let's sack him now. And what I was saying is, if we're going to sack him, let's get to the summer. I can live with him being sacked in the summer, but let's get to the summer because sacking him now would be a fucking nightmare. But that was at the start of January when things were looking really, really badly. And the reason I was saying sack him in the summer was because I wanted to get these players back and see if anything happened. And I knew that by giving him till the summer, we get time to see what happens when Casemiro, Shaw and Martinez come back. And now, as predicted, when they come back, the team plays a lot better. And now I've seen that, I'm like, well, no, we don't need to bloody sack him at all. We need to give him more of a structure, which is always what I've wanted. The worst I ever got with the Ten Hag movement was that I sort of got to a place where it wasn't even about Ten Hag. It was about not sacking a manager. I just got, when the results were really bad, and I'm talking about the start of January, really, that was probably my lowest point with Ten Hag. After that Forest game where you beat Villa and then you go to Forest and fucking lose, it was disgraceful, really. But I just got to a point that even though I was concerned about Ten Hag's future, I just don't want to sack another manager. It's as simple as that. And I don't really see why Ineos would want to come in and sack him because I'll say the words if they sack Ten Hag. I'll say, you're just the Glazers. Why are you any different to the Glazers? This is exactly what the Glazers did. Moyes got rid of him in a year. Van Gaal got rid of him in 2 years. Or was it 3? Mourinho, 2.5. Ollie, 2.5. Ten Hag, 2. This is... Getting rid of Ten Hag is just exactly what the Glazers would do, and I don't think that's the right thing to do. Fletcher says, any chance of Vinicius Jr.? I don't think... Look, Elise wouldn't surprise me. Todibo, I'll be stunned if we don't sign Todibo, to be honest with you. If you want to go to the bank, I said this about Lindelof. I said it about Rasmus. I'll be stunned if we don't sign Todibo. Absolutely stunned. And it's weird the players it ends up being, but I would be absolutely stunned if we don't sign Todibo. Vinicius Jr., absolutely stunned if we sign him. I don't know where the story comes from. I don't think Vinicius Jr. is in any way, shape or form on United's radar. And I don't think we're on his at all. Rashford leaving United, I personally don't think it's there to be done. But yeah, I think there's just too much other stuff that needs to be done first. Dan John says, you missed my super chat. I didn't. I always summarise them. It's off topic, so apologies. But if Sir Jim Ratcliffe built a new stadium with themes and styles of Old Trafford, would that help you be palatable to a new stadium? If you look up Lucas Oil Stadium, this is a great example. Look, Joe, I do not want Manchester United to leave Old Trafford. You will never change me. Like, no one's going to say, this has got a log flume. You know, it's got, you know, look at the... Nothing is going to make me go, yeah, let's get rid of Old Trafford. I don't care if I'm in the minority. There's nothing that's going to make me think we should move out of Old Trafford. It's too important to me. Yeah, my granddad's dead. He's been dead for years. He got me into Manchester United. I used to sit there after primary school and he'd have like chips and soup sat there because he was a builder, and he'd get home in the autumn when it was dark because he couldn't be building, and he'd be showing me VHS videos of United. You can't take those memories away from me to my last breath. And he loved Man United and he loved Old Trafford, and I don't want to leave Old Trafford. It means too much to me. But what I will say is, if we leave Old Trafford, I'm not going to get I'm not chaining myself to it. Like, it's not like I'm like, we shall not be moved. There might be some people who are like that. I just don't want to leave Old Trafford. But I'm not stupid. I know we might, and it'll be horrible. It'll be a horrible day for some of us personally. And, you know, I probably will shed a tear, to be honest with you. I don't want us to leave Old Trafford. But I'm not like saying we won't. And if we do, what can I do about it? But I don't want to go. And there's nothing you can say to me that will make me go, oh, go on then. I think it's the right thing to do. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Mark, I think United should look at Pascal Gross from Brighton. A fantastic player, Tom. Fantastic player. Does amazing for them. I'm so happy we're not getting a new ground, says Gary. Well, I don't know that we're not. And Dan John says, what I mean is that I had surgery and had to take a break from the stuffing. Doc says I'm clear for Sunday and the missus is getting it. There you go. And on that bombshell. Lovely stuff. Did you see that Alisson's got a hamstring injury? Says Usto. Well, I've got Kelleher on my bench, so he's going in on my FPL. Marcus Stevenson said, should Old Trafford not be declared a historic building? It should be a listed building, yeah. I've said this for years. It's a shame it's not. In the UK, there are certain buildings that you just can't do anything with. They're listed buildings. They're of historical interest, so you can't knock them down. I wish Old Trafford was protected, but yeah, there's nothing we can do. But look, a lot of you want to change it. I do respect that, but not for me. Hi, Mark. You said the other day Ashworth may want to keep Scott McTominay. Remember, he'll be working with Ten Hag this time, who has a different style of play, says SK. Eric Ten Hag will go to Barcelona this summer and win them the Champions League in 2 years, says Spencer Silvertower. Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of if, buts and maybes. You know, there is. And I think the most important thing is the players at the moment are doing their job, and long may that continue, because you know what, we actually have got a season to play for at the moment. We could still win the league. We're only 11 points off the top. We could still win the league. But no, it's going well. But I think the weekend's massive, isn't it? It's such a big game. It's such a big game. Richie says, I'm from Holland. Please keep pushing your fan base to believe in Ten Hag. He's not the most. He's the most determined manager you will have after Sir Alex, says Richie. Yeah, and as I said, I think one of the things that really resonates with me about Ten Hag is that he's the first manager we've had since Sir Alex that actually has a good plan around youth and development. And there are some cracking players coming through at United. And I think that this stance that he has, that if you're good enough, you'll play, but you've got to be good enough, has rejuvenated that youth setup. Like it really has. Like I speak to people who are involved in the youth setup, and they're looking at Garnacho, they're looking at Mainu, and they're like, we've got a real chance if we're good enough. And that pathway to the first team can be really inspiring, and Ten Hag has provided that. So that's what we're all about. That is what we're all about. And we've got some amazing talent coming through. Really have. I think over the next 3 or 4 years, I'd be surprised if there isn't 1 or 2 being considered every summer for the next 3 or 4 years, and hopefully beyond that. So there's some really good players coming through, but you need a manager that can do that. Not every manager can do that. Not every manager can do that. Howard Evans, welcome to the Members Club. You absolute legend. Really appreciate that. Look, it's been a great show tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it, and really good to be back doing a live show with you. I really appreciate those who are tuning in live. If you're not watching live, then obviously there's a lot to get your comments in. I mean, look, what I want to read in the comments, because I always read them later on or in the morning, is just give us a couple of sentences on, you know, what you would do with Ten Hag. Are you like, give him a 5-year contract? Are you like, get rid of him in the summer? Or are you like, look, let's just give him next season and see what happens next season? You know, which is probably where I am. I really do think a great point was brought up tonight. I had 3 or 4 reasons why I wouldn't change it, but I didn't have this reason that was mentioned in the chat. If you change the manager in the summer, you don't get rid of hardly any players, because the new manager, as we've seen countless times, will come in and go, I'm in charge. I'm not being told who to get rid of. I'll assess it. And they can only assess it on pre-season, by which time it's too late. So everybody stays again. Whether it's Varane, McTominay, whether you want to get rid of Rashford or Sancho, they'll all be there on the tour, and they'll all be given another chance. And then that's another year wasted. If you want to get rid of a load of players this summer, and I think we have to, you've got to stick with Ten Hag, because he's the only one who can say get rid of them. We haven't got the director of football, so he won't know. Barada won't know. You know, Sir Jim's not making those decisions, and then you'll have a new manager going, I need to assess the squad. It's a great point, and I hadn't even thought about it myself. We need to get rid of a lot of players this summer, the deadwood. That's never going to happen if you replace the manager, because he won't come in knowing what the deadwood is, and there's no one to tell him because he'll have sacked him. Howard Evans, thank you very much. Take care, everyone. Make sure you smash a like on the video, and don't forget to scan the QR code. Get yourself on Goldbridge Saves Football. A lovely pair of trainers to be given away this week as well. Also, if you want to watch it visually, it's on That's Football. Check out the new pub, Goldbridge Arms, on the podcast, on That's Football, visually. Scan the QR code if you want to listen to it audioly. Take care, everyone. I'll see you in the morning.